Okay, welcome to our first class in the yeshiva, the Torah of Shem and Noach, the yeshiva of Shem and Aver. This class is going to be ongoing, and it's going to be insights and a deeper perspective of Shem and Noah, particularly Shem. For whatever reason, Shem has the Torah and the knowledge of Shem hasn't been delved into as much as possible. There's a lot of stuff and material on Shem and his greatness, and basically all the things that he did and still continues to do to this day, according to the Torah sources. And our job is going to be to come inside the text in the Torah and investigate exactly who Shem was, all the more so Noah, and how they worked together, as Shem was, of course, the world's first Noahide. He was Shem ben Noah, so he was a ben Noach. He's very, very integral in everything that we know about Noah. Shem is just as an integral character in understanding the history of Bnei Noah and to the time before the flood, after the flood, and how the teachings of Shem and Noah exist to this very day. So with that said, that's the introduction to the class, and let's go inside. Does anybody have any questions to start off with at this point? Anything on your mind? Any questions while I'm looking at the screen? And I'm not seeing anybody, so let's go. Okay, the very first thing that we're going to get into is, who is Shem, the son of Noah? Now in Hebrew, this is a Hebrew lesson, but not really, because we're going to have to have extensive knowledge just of Shem's name. Now, I don't know, does anybody know what Shem's name actually means? Shem, the son of Noah, means name. So, therefore, the name, exactly. So let's get the basic definition down so that there's no ambiguity. What is the name of Shem coming to tell us? Shem ben Noach. Shem, the son of Noah. Okay, that's like step number one in understanding the Hebrew behind Shem. Now, Noach, or Noah, it literally means to make easy. So here we're having Shem, the translation is the name, Ben, the son of, Noah, Noach in Hebrew, and Noah or Noach in Hebrew means to make easy. As it says in the Torah, a son was born, and that son, his job, he was named Noah, was to make the toil of our hands that much easier. Some people think that it means the comfort, and we actually have a tradition that it does not mean the comfort. If his name Noah would have been to comfort or to console, his name would have been Menachem, the comforter. So since that his name is Noah, it comes to tell us that his name means to make easy. The toil of your hands should become easy. So now, put it all together. Who do we have? Shem, the name, Ben, the son of, Noah, making things easy. The name of a son of making things easy. That is the basic Hebrew definition, translation of Shem. Okay, now, there are 6 letters involved. Shem has 2 letters, Ben has 2 letters, and Noah has 2 letters. So how do we spell Shem ben Noah? Shem, shin, the sh sound is shin, the m sound is the mem, that's Shem. Ben, the B sounding letter, bet, the N sounding letter, nun, Ben. Shem, Ben, and then we have Noah. Again, the N sound, nun, and the ch sound, chet. Therefore we have Shem ben Noach. Shin mem beit nun nun chet. That is the Hebrew lesson for today. It's never going to change. This is going to be the same paradigm we're going to follow to the end of time. Shem's name will never change, and therefore those 6 letters will be, as we go over them time and time again, it will become easier to grasp onto the methodology we employ when discussing Shem's name. And again, Shem's name is a theme, because Shem's name literally means name. Okay. I don't know if anybody knows this. Here's one last hard part. I promise this is the last hard thing we're going to do. And then it's going to get easier. And it's going to be 95% in English. So, the idea is, every Hebrew letter has a numerical value. There's a built-in numerical value system to all of Hebrew. So if anybody knows the alphabet in Hebrew, the Aleph has a numerical value of 1. The Beit, the next letter, has a numerical value of 2. The Gimel, the G-sounding letter, has the numerical value 3. And it goes like this, all the way up to 22 letters of the alphabet. Let's get a quick Aleph Beit, the pronunciation of the alphabet. Aleph Beit Gimel Daled Hey Vav Zayin Chet Tet, Yud, Kaf, Lamed, Mem, Nun. Samech, Ayin, Pei, Tzadik, Kuf, Reish, Shin, Taf. Okay, that's the alphabet. Now, if you have, this is recorded, so you can hear the recording. If you were to go back over exactly what I just said, the Aleph, the Beit, the Gimel, again, and again, it's recorded for educational purposes, this is the numerical value that you would overlay on top of the alphabet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 200, 300, 400. And if you count what I just did in the recording, 22 letters, 22 values. Now, the apex of what we're going to get into with this little teaching, and then we're going to get radically easier. I start off hard, but we get easy as we go. And again, since it's being recorded, you can hear it many times, and you'll hear the meaning. If you take the numerical value of the end letters of Shem's name, remember we said the Mem was the M-sounding letter at the end of Shem, Shin Mem, and the Beit and the Nun, with the Nun coming after the Beit, and then the Chet after the Nun. That gives you a particular numerical value, which in Hebrew is called gematria. And that value is a very significant value, which is why I wanted to introduce Shem with this value. And that value is a superb gematria or numerical value, 748. And there's a very famous principle in the Torah. Everyone knows that for the Noahide, he has 7 mitzvahs, 7 commandments, as brought down. And in the Torah, for the Jewish people, they follow 613 commandments. And there's a concept that if you were to narrow down basically all of one's commandments in this world, if you could narrow it down to one general principle, how do I govern myself when all comes to fail and there's one thing to do, I'm confused, I don't know where I'm going, I don't know what to do, what do I do, how do I say the one predominant theme under the commandments out of the philosophy of serving Hashem, of serving God. And the idea is that the value of that 748 is the value of V'tzadik be'emunato yichye. And the righteous shall live in his faith. Or the righteous will live in his truth. In Hebrew, the word truth and faith are interchangeable. So what is Shem's name coming to tell us? What's the hidden code embedded in Shem's name and the end letters that come across in his name? The Mem, the Nun, and the Chet. As we said, Shin, Mem, Shem. Beit, Nun, Ben. Nun, Chet, Noach. And you take that Mem and that Nun and that Chet together, and it gives you that value. And the righteous shall live in his faith. And what do we say by Noah in the Torah? A righteous man who walked purely and innocently before God. That was Noah, who was a tzaddik, or he was a righteous man. What do we say by Shem? We say by Shem that he was a righteous man, the son of a righteous man. There was no avenue of anything that was not appropriate for God in the service of Shem. That's the level that Shem was on, being the son, the essential offspring and son of Noah. And where, again, to bring it home, we see that in code in his name, that Shem has in his name, the righteous shall live in his faith. And that's exactly what Shem is coming to tell us all through time, all through the Torah, all through the message permeating to this day, that a righteous, the secret of the righteous is to live in his faith. Okay, with that said in mind, the Hebrew now, I hope, looks a little bit easier, now that we went through the hard stuff to get to the gem of what really drives Shem. Now, we're going to bring in the Torah, and I don't know how to bring up the verses on the whiteboard. So I don't know, Linda, if you are you able to bring up the sources on the whiteboard? Otherwise, if you could follow at home, or if you have the recording, you could follow on when you go over the lesson. We're going to turn to Okay, we're going to turn to Genesis chapter 14, verse number 18. Okay, is everybody? Can everybody follow? Does everybody have the Torah available to follow the verse? Okay. Very good. Okay. Superb. So did you find the verse? Then it's chapter 14, verse number 18, about Malki Tzedek. How do you say that in practical English? Malki, I don't know how to say it in the translated English text, but Malki Tzedek, Malki Tzedek, how do you say? Okay. Let's go inside and read the verse. Yeah, the King of Righteousness, exactly. That's in Hebrew. That's called Malki Tzedek, the King of Righteousness. Now let's read the verses inside as literal as possible. And again, anybody that doesn't have an open Torah in front of them, I'll translate and make everything clear. And when you listen to the recording, you can follow along, and you'll see everything was written inside. Okay. But Malki Tzedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was a priest of God the Most High. He blessed him, saying, Blessed is Abram of God the Most High, maker of heaven and earth. And blessed is God the Most High, who has delivered your foes into your hand. And he gave him 1/10 of everything. Okay, let's get some background. Abraham is going to rescue his brother-in-law Lot. Abraham chases after Lot, and there's a war with 4 kings. Abraham then successfully defeats the kings in the valley listed in the Torah, valley of Shaveh, which is the king's valley. And all of a sudden, there's another king who comes out, who we don't know much about this king according to the first glimpse of what's going on. The king of righteousness comes out. He's the king of Salem. Abraham was victorious over the 4 kings. And all of a sudden, the king of righteousness comes out, king of Salem, brings out bread and wine, as he was a priest of God the Most High. So Abraham's here, he wins the war, and he's greeted by the king of righteousness, who brings out bread and wine. He was a priest of God the Most High, and somebody, we don't know who. Now again, the literal is going to say, he blessed him. Well, who is he and who is him? That's going to be our first question. Who is he and who is him? And he blessed him. We're going to go into that and understand exactly who is he and who is him. But at this point, we'll say he blessed him. Blessed is Abraham of God the Most High. So Abraham got a blessing, maker of heaven and earth, and then God gets a blessing, and blessed is God the Most High, who has delivered your foes into your hand. And then again, another level of ambiguosity. And he gave him a tenth of everything. Did Abraham give the king of righteousness a tenth, a tithe, or the other way around? Okay. The first thing we have to understand in this text is, who is the king of righteousness, the Melech Shalem, the king of Salem? Has anybody ever heard of a definition of who is the king of righteousness, and how and why is he the king of Salem? Yes, Ross, it is Shem. And for anybody interested in the Hebrew on their own time, the authorities in the learning of the history of learning have identified the king of righteousness is Shem. Is if you look, the king of Salem has the initial letters, the mem, the M sounding letter, Melech Mem, and Shalem, Salem, spells none other than Shem. So again, there's inside the Torah, it's hinted at the king of Salem is in fact Shem. So here we have Abraham defeating the four kings, and who's coming out to greet Abraham? Shem. Now the story gets a little bit different than we thought. The story is not as obscure as it seemed to be. It seemed obscure because who's the king of righteousness? What is Salem? Why is he coming out to greet Abraham? What exactly is going on? So now that we've identified this character as Shem, let's look inside again and see how it's consistent with what we know. In Melchizedek, king of Salem, i.e., Shem brought out bread and wine, as he was a priest of God the Most High. And he blessed him. Again, we don't know who he or him is. Did Abraham bless Melchizedek Shem, or did Shem bless Abraham? That's going to be our question. Here, Shalem, Salem, would be translated as complete. That's a good question. The answer is Melchizedek, the king of righteousness, the king of Salem, the king who is complete or whole. Salem comes from the language Shalem, which means complete or whole. So the righteous king, the king who is complete, and this is a connotation of Shem. So the Torah is telling you who Shem is. He is a righteous king, and he's a complete king. Why is he a complete king? He's a complete king because he's a king, and he's a priest to God the Most High at the same time. He has the right of the firstborn. The right to the firstborn, even though he may not have been the technically oldest offspring of Noah, he inherited, because of his greatness and stature, the level of being a king and a priest to God. Now, here's an interesting side point that you might want to hear. This is interesting. When this whole episode with Abraham and Shem is going to be over, okay? Shem was, as we said, the king of Salem, or Shalem. And Abraham, in another week or two, he's going to call the exact same place. This is taking place on the Temple Mount, the place of the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. right? We all are familiar with the Western Wall, the Temple Mount. On top now, the Dome of the Rock sits on top of the Temple Mount, where the Beis Hamikdash, the Holy Temple, used to be. So Abraham's going to bring Isaac up there to be a sacrifice or an offering in, what is it? I think next week or this week, whatever it is. And at that point, Abraham calls the site Yirah, or awe, or reverence. Yirah means reverence or awe. So what do we get from this? Shem and Abraham at this junction, each one calls the location something different. Abraham calls it Yirah, or awe, reverence. And Shem calls it complete, which is the language of shalom. Hello, goodbye, or peace. And here we're terming it peace. So Abraham calls it reverence or awe. Shem calls it peace. Shalem, if you add an extra letter, a vav, it becomes shalom. So the idea is that peace, shalom, is when you are shalem, whole. I.e., if you're a wholesome being, if you're complete in your being, you will be in a state of peace. From shalem, Salem, to shalom, peace. What happened was the two came together, Abraham and Shem, and they called the place Yerushalayim, Yirah Shalom, to revere or peace, Yerushalayim, which in English, Jerusalem. And that is how Jerusalem got its eternal name. Was right here at this meeting at the future site of Jerusalem, where Shem and Abraham got together. Upon Abraham's defeat of the four kings, he was greeted by Melchizedek Shem, and each one called it Yirah and Shalom, which made Yerushalayim, which is Jerusalem. Okay. The reason why Shem brought out bread and wine is because it is a hint to the future site of the Holy Temple. In the Holy Temple, there is the aspect of the service in the temple by the priesthood of offerings of bread and wine. Okay. And let's go continue with what we were saying about the encounter. Okay. I'm going to explain it in the Hebrew, so I don't expect you to be able to follow along if you don't know the Hebrew. But I'm going to explain it in English, but I'm using the Hebrew text to alter my translation into the English. So the English that you have may not be consistent with what I'm saying. Because again, we're trying to answer up who is he and who is him. And in the English, they just say, well, he blessed him. We don't know if that's Abraham blessing Shem or Shem blessing Abraham. So let's go ahead and translate it from the original text. Okay. And Melchizedek, the king of righteousness, the king who was complete and whole, brought out bread and wine, as he is a priest to God above. And he blessed him. And he said, blessed is Abraham to God above. Acquire the heavens and the earth. And blessed is God above, that he has delivered your enemies into your hand, and he gave to him a tithe, a tenth of everything. There's a fantastic concept that's just begging to be interpreted right here. I am going to give Ross, I want to give you a blessing to explain what's going on in the text. Okay? I'm going to say, Ross, you should be blessed. May Hashem bless you with eternity. Okay. When somebody says that, in the proper Hebrew, which the Hebrew, again, is not important, it's just outlining the concept. If I say, Ross, you should be blessed, the correct answer of proper conduct is to say, Ken Lamar. Ken means so to, Lamar, to you. So to you. It's proper conduct. Anybody would say, Ross, you should be blessed, and Rabbi Katz, so to you, you should be blessed. So here we're seeing Shem and Abraham, he blessed him. Now, there's a misnomer floating around for a very long time, and it's a question in the sources as per who really blessed who and who gave tithes to who. We don't know. Was it Abraham to Shem or Shem to Abraham? Now, at this junction, you should know one thing is a fact. One thing is an absolute fact. That Shem passed over the priesthood to Abraham at this juncture. That is the one factual thing we know. Now, the answer, or the question we have to ask ourselves, what was the method or the vehicle or the cause or the purpose, the rationale, the reason, the story of what made that transfer happen? Why did that transfer happen? Was that transfer in fact good? Was that transfer in fact bad? Did Shem sin? Did Abraham sin? Did Shem do a mitzvah, a good deed? Did Abraham do a good deed? These are all questions we have to ask ourselves to understand what exactly went down between Shem and Abraham and the right of the priesthood at this juncture. And all we have to go with is the King of righteousness, the wholesome, complete King, brought out bread and wine as he was a priest to God above. Now that we know that, Vayevarchehu, and he blessed him. And I'll tell you what the answer is. The answer is, and he blessed him. Abraham blesses Shem. Abraham blesses Shem. Abraham says, Shem, you are a holy priest to God above. You should in fact be blessed with all the bounty of the heavens and the earth, or whatever the blessing may have been. And at that point, what is Shem obligated to do? Based on what we just said, I bless you, and the proper conduct is you return the blessing. Blessed are you, and you counter, no, Rabbi Katz, blessed is, not no, but so too you, Rabbi Katz, should you be blessed. This is called in Hebrew, derech eretz. The commandment of good, proper conduct and character traits that are commendable. It's just the proper courtesy. You say thank you, you're welcome. Goodbye and hello. So what the proper etiquette when receiving or giving a blessing, you give a blessing and you say, Ken Lamar, so to you. The blessing should return to you. So here we have Abraham blessing Shem. Shem, you should be blessed. Now before we continue, you have to understand that the misinformation that spreads around is that this was you could say a double sin, triple sin. There's a lot of sinning going on here, but in truth, there was no great sin whatsoever. The first sin is understanding that was Shem that blessed Abraham. Okay, that's all. That's the first sin that never happened. It was Abraham that blessed Shem. What the misinformation would say is that Shem made a mistake in blessing Abraham before Shem blessed God, Hashem, and that was called a sin. So now we have two levels of sin here, and by doing so he lost the right of the priesthood, as Abraham then would have done the correct conduct. That is not the truth. That is not what happened. In fact, it's the opposite. So we have here, Abraham blesses Shem. Abraham blesses Shem. Now, at that point, we have to revisit, you just said if Shem would have blessed Abraham first, that would have constituted a sin upon the part of Shem. So if Abraham then comes and blesses Shem first, and before Abraham blesses God, Hashem, there's Hashem and there's Shem, it's not to be confused. is it in fact a sin upon the part of Abraham? And the answer is yes and no, not really. Yes and no, not really. It's a blessing, it's an opportunity, and it's a mistake. The mistake is, ultimately, you just had a big success over 4 kings. You come out to the king of righteousness, Shem, the complete king. He brings out bread and wine, the place of the future temple, where the priesthood will serve God. And Abraham says, blessed is Shem. Now Shem is worthy of a blessing, that is for sure. But, he did not bless God first. So he makes a mistake. But that mistake functions as an opportunity. An exact equal opportunity. Because at that moment, as Abraham blesses Shem before Hashem, God, what does Shem have the opportunity to do at that time? Well, Ken Lamar, Abraham. So to you. You can't just say, the guy gives you a blessing, Shem, you should be blessed. And then you don't get upset at Abraham and say, you shouldn't have blessed me. I resent and regret that you ever blessed me. It was wrong, it was a sin, it was a mistake, and you should be punished. No. That totally defeats the purpose of a blessing. That's not proper that's doing a worse mistake than Abraham would have done. I mean, that doesn't get the job done. So Shem teaches us a very important lesson. Abraham blesses Shem. Shem, you should be blessed. Shem comes back and he says, Ken Lamar, so to you, Abraham, should you be blessed. Look in the text. He blessed him. He blessed him. Abraham blesses Shem. Shem has derech eretz, proper conduct. He is a righteous man, the son of a righteous man. He knows what to do. He knows how to honor Abraham and honor God at the same time. Keep the blessing active, but what he does is he offers the opportunity to Abraham to mend his ways and to learn the lesson, never, ever forget God. By doing so, Shem was drawn to bless Abraham before God. But again, that was because Abraham blessed Shem before God. By doing such, again, to run through the story, Abraham blesses Shem. Shem says, Ken Lamar, so to you, Abraham. So to you should you have the blessings that you have blessed me. By the way, Abraham, what about Hashem? And he said, blessed is Abraham to God above, acquire the heavens and the earth. The very next statement, and blessed is God that he delivered not my enemies into your hand, but he has delivered your enemies into your hand. As far as I can recall, you just fought the war of 4 kings. So why is Abraham blessing Shem before God? That was the mistake of Abraham. And that mistake was an opportunity that Shem was able to teach over to Abraham the rite of passage of the priesthood. By doing so, when Shem said, blessed is God, after he said, blessed is Abraham, in return to Abraham's blessing to Shem, because Abraham did not bless God, that passage, Abraham understood at that moment the entire tradition, teaching, Torah, and rite of priesthood from Shem directly. And then now we understand the ambiguity. He blessed him. Abraham blessed Shem. Shem blessed Abraham. Shem blessed God. Abraham then understands what it is to bless God first under all circumstances. Abraham learned proper conduct, derech eretz. Shem was the teacher of that proper conduct. He did so by blessing Abraham before God, to teach and to give the tradition to Abraham. And Abraham reciprocates, and he gave to him a tenth of everything. Now the sources say, well, who gave the tenth to who? Was it Shem to Abraham, or Abraham to Shem? I don't know. Who gave to who? Read it a little bit differently. Don't make it an open question. Who gave to who? I don't know. Good question. I don't know. Because if you answer it that way, you'll never get an answer. It's like saying, who's on first? Who's on first? He's on second. Who's he? It's that kind of thing. So don't read it as, who gave to who? Read it with a little bit of a connotation. Who gave to who? Who gave to who? Abraham gave to Shem the tithe. And that was the passage of the priesthood as a gift of Shem, saying to Abraham, take it. I want you to take it. And by Abraham rectifying that proper conduct, and by giving the tithe, Abraham successfully takes the priesthood from Shem. Now, was it a sin on Shem? Absolutely not. Did Shem bless Abraham first? Yes. Because Abraham had preceded and blessed Shem first. That's the Torah behind the story with Shem and Abraham at the site of the future temple, aka Melchizedek, the righteous king, which is a nickname of Shem. You are a priest forever. Very good, Andy. That is exactly what we're going to say next. You jumped the gun. That was my next word. And we see that in Tehillim number 110, we say, no, very good. You really got on to the next thing. How do we know Shem, Melchizedek, agrees that the passage of priesthood should go to Abraham? By my word, that Melchizedek, you are a priest forever. And who do we say that psalm was spoken of? Abraham. Abraham. In that Tehillim, in that psalm, Shem Melchizedek says to Abraham, by my word, you shall be a priest forever. And what Shem did? Shem was waiting his entire life to find somebody like Abraham that would rise up and accept the teaching of Shem. Shem had offered the Torah that it was taught in his yeshiva or his academy with his grandson Aver, as we're here in the room, Shem and Aver, the academy of Shem and Aver, the yeshiva learning center. They were waiting. When is somebody like Abraham going to come up? Who is not the righteous man, the son of a righteous man, such as you, Shem. Even to the point that Shem was focusing on his daughter Tamar as the essential offspring, so that there should be somebody to rise up, as a righteous person, the son of not a righteous person. As we don't say that Abraham's father Terach was a particularly righteous person, Shem waits and waits and waits with the intention to wait even more. Abraham comes up, they meet at the Temple Mount, and Shem says, somebody that understands, that will take the priesthood, somebody that will learn and accept the Torah of Shem. to pass on exactly to one that was righteous to receive the Torah of Shem and Aver. And then in the psalm it comes out, you are a priest forever by my word, Malki Tzedek. And what do we say in the writings of the rabbis explaining this? He was a priest to God above. That's Shem. We know Shem was a priest to God above. And he was a priest, and not his seed was of a priest. Abraham is the offspring of Shem. Therefore, Abraham is the seed of Shem. But Abraham did not receive or take the priesthood because of his right of inheritance through seed. Abraham is a Cohen. He is a priest to God above, just as he received from Shem, but not because he inherited through seed. He inherited by the merit of accepting the Torah and lesson of proper conduct and tradition from Shem, the son of Noah. Shem, the son of Noah, the righteous man, the son of a righteous man, that his name tells us secretly, and the righteous shall live in his truth, or in his faith. Shem had faith that there would be an Abraham to come upon the scene that would continue the tradition and take the Torah from Shem as he had been offering it for 400 years. He had the faith and he had the truth. And the truth is, when you should be blessing God first, and you don't, okay, it's a given that we now know you should, and you don't, what do? You do the truth. You don't crusade somebody over it. You say, okay, you should be blessed too. But the truth is, you should know through proper conduct, what about Hashem? And Abraham says, you know what? You're right. You're right. You're right. I should have blessed God first. He delivered my enemies to my hand. Here is 1/10 of everything. Take the tithe. And at that junction, that place is transformed from some random, obscure place where Shem was serving God. It becomes Yira, a place of reverence or awe, a place of Shalom, complete Salem, Shalom, peace, which becomes Yerushalayim, the holy city of Jerusalem. Now, we will go a little further. Abraham's going to become a Jewish, essentially the first man to get circumcised at Bris Milah. Many people are not aware of this. Shem was actually born absolutely perfect in his physical being. He was born circumcised. Shem was actually born perfected. Absolutely perfected. He was a righteous man, the son of a righteous man. No need for circumcision. What is circumcision? It means you have a body, you're in the physical domain, and God tells you to Abraham, perfect your body. You, for whatever reason, God determined to perfect your body, you need to do circumcision. Shem does not do the circumcision because he was born circumcised. He's born on that level of perfection. Now, what's the tremendous insight here? Shem actually is almost like a staff in the hand of God. He is God's right-hand man, the priest who serves God upon high. When Rebekah is pregnant with Jacob and Esau in her womb, and they're wrestling in the womb, causing her tremendous grief, they say, why don't you go inquire before Hashem, God, and see what's going on? Where did she go in the end, really? Where did she go? She went to inquire none other than Shem, the son of Noah, in his academy of Torah, with his grandson Aver, in the land of Israel, in the holy city of Tzfat, which happens to be where we're broadcasting from now. Coincidentally enough, we're 1,000 feet from that place. Now, why do we bring this up? Rebecca went to inquire upon Hashem, and by doing so, she went in front of Shem. And Shem had the ability to really connect to God on a very sublime spiritual level. And that same level, when Abraham was charged to give himself the circumcision, there were 3 candidates involved in making that circumcision happen. We say that Abraham circumcised himself, which, okay, that's a little hard to understand because he was 99 years old. And then they say that Hashem, God, actually circumcised Abraham for him. But we know that Hashem doesn't come into the physical body. That's the rule number 1. So how could it be that God circumcised Abraham? How could this be? The answer is Shem was sent to be the moil. The moil means the circumciser of Abraham. And again you see this relationship between Shem and Abraham. Abraham has to reach the level of Hashem in the priesthood, in the circumcision, in the father of the Hebrews. Abraham is called Abraham the Hebrew. Where do we get this term Hebrew from? The Hebrew term comes from the grandson of Shem, Aver. Aver comes from the language Ivri. Ivri in Hebrew comes from the English Hebrew. And who was the father of the Hebrews from this perspective? Who was the father of Aver? Shem. We see the direct relationship between Shem and Abraham at the Temple Mount. When Abraham was charged to perfect himself, to be on the level of a righteous man, the son of a righteous man like Shem, Shem's the one they call to do the circumcision through the will of God. He does the will of God to the point that he does Abraham's circumcision, but he's so in tuned to God's will, Abraham gets credit for doing it himself. Shem is the dispatched to get the job done, and Hashem works between Abraham and Shem. Now Shem, we're going to end with this lesson right here. Shem has been doing something for a long time. Shem taught Torah to the entire world, offering the Torah, the wisdom of God, that Shem had received from Noah, that Shem had learned by himself in the ark, as the ark was not a boat. On the outside, it looked like a big boat. Correct, it was a big boat. On the inside, it was a womb of the world. And that womb of the world on the inside was one big revelation of the Torah, of God's will, of the future world. Everything that's going to come out of that boat was seen by Shem in its inception in the boat. Shem comes out charged, absolutely charged with the Torah. He studied the will of God in the boat, in the teva, the ark. He comes out and he offers the Torah to everybody that would take it for 400 years. The only problem is that there was a problem. Nobody wants it. Nobody wanted it. He finally finds Abraham and says, oh, Abraham comes and takes it. Finally! But you know what? Nobody joined Abraham. Shem waited those 400 years and he became discouraged. And we're going to leave off at this point, and next week we're going to get into this next topic, that in the ark, Noah actually suffered a wound at the hand of feeding the lion. He wasn't able to give a sacrifice upon coming out of the ark. Shem was able to reach the Garden of Eden, bring healing to Noah, By doing so, Shem was given the blessing of life. He had a long life after the flood, after the ark. And he waited 400 years to find somebody like Abraham that would accept the Torah, the teaching of Shem. And at that point, he was discouraged. There was no taker. So Shem, he went to the future giving of the Torah location, Mount Sinai. He goes to the desert, and at this point it's not really Mount Sinai, it's desert. There's nothing there. The giving of the Torah is not for a long time. And Shem he's not able to die, and he's not able to live. He's in a status between, he's in a sleep state. And what happens to Shem next, that's what we're going to talk about next week. Is the story with Shem going through 1,300 years before he dies. In a location of Har Sinai, Mount Sinai, witnessing the giving of the Torah, making his mission complete. The Torah had been given in the year 2448. Shem was there to make sure that his work and service was not for naught. And next week we're going to discuss exactly how Shem went from the ark and ended up greeting a very special guest visitor at Mount Sinai. And that is the conclusion of the first week's class in the Torah of Shem and Noah in the Academy of Shem and Aver.